Zinn on Empire.
We take no prisoners, leave nothing, only ghosts creeping down the Silk Road from the third world to the fucked up world. Kill everything that moves.
Empire, empire, or humanity, humanity. Empire, empire, or humanity, humanity. What the classroom didn't teach me about the American Empire, by Howard Zinn. With an occupying army waging war in Iraq and Afghanistan, with military bases and corporate bullying in every part of the world, there is hardly a question anymore of the existence of an American empire. Empire. Even as I began to have second thoughts about the purity of the good war, even after being horrified by Hiroshima and Nagasaki, even after rethinking my own bombing of towns in Europe, I still did not put all that together in the context of an American empire. Empire. Or humanity. Humanity. I was conscious, like everyone, of the British Empire and the other imperial powers of Europe, but the United States was not seen in the same way. U.S. history, empire. I usually found a chapter in the history text called The Age of Imperialism, but only a relatively few years. I recall the classroom map labeled Western Expansion, the natural, almost biological phenomenon, vacant land acquired, empire. What we now call ethnic cleansing, humanity. The term manifest destiny became more universal. Within a natural sphere of U.S. interest, the Louisiana Purchase, Mexican cession, the invasion of Cuba, the invasion of the Philippines, halfway around the world. The word imperialism now seemed a fitting one for U.S. action. Reading outside the classroom, I began to fit the pieces of history into a larger mosaic, empire. A succession of violent interventions. Years after World War II, the world's leading superpower, determined to maintain and expand empire, taking over remote islands in the Pacific. The war in Korea in 1950, the covert intervention in Vietnam, the imperial designs of the United States, the desire of empire, humanity, part of a grander imperial design, to establish its dominance everywhere. Manifest destiny, empire, or humanity. Given the history of the United States, it is not hard to decide that question. Empire, empire, or humanity, humanity. Empire, empire, or humanity, humanity. More than 700 American military bases outside of the United States. War on terrorism. Manifest destiny. Many more bases have been established or expanded. When I was bombing cities in Germany, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and France in the Second World War, the moral justification was so simple and clear as to be beyond discussion. We were saving the world from the evil of fascism. I was therefore startled to hear from a gunner on another crew that he considered this an imperialist war. Both sides, he said, were motivated by ambitions of control and conquest. We argued about it without resolving the issue. Ironically, not long after our discussion, this fellow was shot down and killed on a mission. In wars, there is always a difference between the motives of the soldiers and the motives of the political leaders who send them into battle. The rhetoric, often persuasive on first hearing, soon becomes overwhelmed by horrors that can no longer be concealed. The bloody corpses of Iraq, the torn limbs of American GIs, the millions of families driven from their homes in the Middle East and in the Mississippi Delta. Have not the justifications for empire so embedded in our culture and assaulting our good sense that war is necessary for security, that expansion is fundamental to civilization, begun to lose their hold on our minds? Have we not reached a point in history where we are ready to embrace a new way of living in the world, expanding not our military power, but our humanity? Empire, or humanity? Humanity. 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 Or empire. Empire. Humanity. Humanity. Or manifest destiny. Expansion in the Middle East and elsewhere. Quote-unquote war on terrorism. Empire.
We take no prisoners, leave nothing on the ghost. Now everybody knows. We take no prisoners, leave nothing left alive. Don't understand who I
Howard Zinn, it's sad. Howard Zinn is gone. And that's what like this Me Too movement. And then we have Marissa Tomei. She's testifying before Congress. But that's not why I like Marissa Tomei, although that's really great that she's doing that. I like her because she's gorgeous. And growing up, these girls in these formative movies where you see them when you're young, you're just a kid, so she's older than me by however many years. 53. So she's got a good 20 years on me. 18. 17. So I'm 5, 10, 15 formative years, and you see her 25, 30, 35 in these movies. And you're like, and she looks a lot like Addie. Addie the Addict had that same cute brunette, very striking. I mean, prettier. That's what, not that Marissa Tomei is pretty, but that's what in real life you get really, like she's just, when you buy into objective reality, now, I say, beauty, there's different types of beauty. So she's beautiful in her own right, but I think Addie could have been a movie star on that level. She's a very striking girl. She said she would say a line from one of her movies. She would quote, I forgot what, but Marissa Tomei, she's a good one. She's a good human being. And so when Howard Zinn, there's this reading people's history. It's not just here. Marissa Tomei reads Cindy Sheehan. They do this public reading of a people's history of the United States. And that's why I bring her up, is that it's not just me, Angry Shaz, alone figuring this shit out. I'm finding like-minded individuals in the culture, not in my peer group much, but that's why I withdraw from my peer group and then be called antisocial or autistic or Asperger's, or even now a lot of these kids people that are telling them they're on the spectrum. Not all of it, but some of that might be people who don't conform as easily to the dominant narrative. Who is right? Am I more sane and more correct than someone who just accepts the lies of our empire, which are self-promoting and self-reinforcing just to promote power structures? Is the guy who's trying to create an objective view of the world by reading outside the Western canon and outside the official narrative and actually going into the WikiLeaks leaks and going outside the media, you can't even say all of these terms to claim the counter culture, like mainstream media. Well, that's been claimed by opposition within the dominant narrative, just like hip hop and rap and anything that comes outside the power structure to oppose it with truth from the outside. That's what it is that the dominant culture is not human because it only serves the power interests. And so whether it's music or whether it's writing or whatever the counterculture is, reflects aspects of the truth that aren't being vocalized, which we need for our humanity, because if we're just paying attention to what they're telling us, culture and art, if I'm right about it, being there to heal and capture truth and being the framework upon which we drape emotions, and emotions being compact data, and the data worth keeping for future generations is truth, useful information, then if I'm right about that, then if you have stories basically set up in order to reinforce power structures, as opposed to do that normal human thing of create culture and truth, capturing emotions upon form, which we call art. That is a human ecology and feedback loop. The one that we're living in is corrupted by power structures and by top-down oppression, pyramidal stuff. I believe that the human ecology is the Tao, the way of life. You find that at the bottom of this pyramid structure, where when people don't have much and there's a lot more violence and a lot more craziness, we have to abide by the code. What Drake's OG guy talks about is the art of respect. There's something that happens in the wild around danger that's how you keep alive. But you don't, over here this was a pyramid. At the top of that, you get removed from that. So what I find is these young girls who are the daughters of the elites, the ones that I run across, because me being Shaz and the translator, I'm able to go in and out of doors because of my brokering, or also just because of as being a dude, and there's a chemistry between guys and girls which allows me access to this through my money. But also what's funny is when I was making the brokering, this girl she thought I was corny, the 22-year-old. But when I was on the street, all of a sudden now she was letting me into her house and do drugs with her again, because now it was cool Shaz. Because she already has enough corny people in her life who are making money. She has a fucking Jeep that she crashes. Her dad, I told her I was thinking about getting a Porsche, and she was like, oh yeah, my dad went through a midlife crisis too. Which is, as an aside, just when a man can afford a very nice vehicle because he was broke most of his life and now he actually likes nice things, and there's only unless you're going to really ball out, there's a couple cars which are made for people who like to drive. There's certain Porsches and certain BMWs, and maybe there's other models and everything, but those are just accepted by everyone as very nice cars to drive if you enjoy driving. That's not a midlife crisis. That's just enjoying nice shit. So you don't gotta fucking... Anyways, she was like, yeah, my dad got a Porsche when he fucking turned whatever. I was like, no, dude, I just... But the point is, that's the girl who fucking is like, oh, street Shaz, yeah, come fuck with me. There's a... Fuck, I lost my point. There is a pattern of life and a pattern of human expression. And there is a pattern of manipulation and corruption of narratives in order to promote power interests. The corrupt one will always deprive you of your humanity because it's not honest and it's serving... It's like we get in a group discussion and we're trying to achieve consensus. If there's a malicious actor within that, they're going to try to piss in the water. They're going to try to corrupt the group discussion. That's why you have consensus and these other tools to try to edit for that. That we all buy into certain values like honesty and respect and scientific thinking and backing up what you say. That's what in Reddit and in other online forums, there's certain codes of conduct. And if you act outside of that, they vote you down or you get discredited. You have to back up your sources. You can't just talk out a line without being able to back it up. Well, you can, but people are just not going to respect you. There's certain ethics to how people congregate. So that way when we're talking, we can hold people accountable to the values because there's a shared identity based around these values. But that is to correct against malicious intent, which is all power hierarchies have, malicious intent, in order to feed the resources up to the top, to the elite. The people who are living at the top there, the children of the elite, and that's why I say in a later poem, I said, a woman born when Caesar died, when clowns would get, a woman born when Caesar died, when clowns would dare to crucify their king. From the king's quarters this I write, news the latest regicide will bring, so bring me fortune, bring me fame, and I will bring to you their names in verse. Verses known and unknown shared. If I err, tell me but where at first. I, the first man, first to speak the barbarous as well as Greek of tongue, have spoken in, have sung in true belief this bond, to bind the men that dare be strong for our women. A woman born when Caesar died, the Ides of March are prophesied again. It's just some cool shit I thought of. But I thought of it fucking, all of these ideas, all of this fucking Howard Zinn, all of this living is in my head. And like, it's not just politics, it's also like beautiful Marissa Tomei's on this trip. Fucking not like, fucking inspiring Fred Hamptons on this tip. Misogynist JFK seems to have at least gotten a dose of it. Fucking badass Tupac, respected universally across the streets. My Armenian girlfriend tells me that the Armenians try to claim him as fucking theirs. Like Armenians in LA, she's like, yeah, my homies all like have these theories that Tupac was really Armenian deep down. It's like everyone would love Tupac to be a part of theirs. Like there's and Notorious B.I.G. too. Like these are just large spirits, and they, like, what is it? I mean, when I was living in New York, I was trying to get more on East Coast rap because I think I neglected it growing up in LA or outside LA. And so when I heard Big E's "Niggas bleed just like me," imagine, picture me being shook by what is it? Niggas bleed just like me. Imagine me being scared by a nigga who bleeds the same air as me. Niggas bleed just like me. Picture me being shook by niggas. But that's the whole point. It's like when some dude told me in Puerto Rico. This is shit that, like, it sounds stupid until you live it. Like someone was like sat down with me in one of these open conversations, and they're like, life down here is cheap. $300 is all it costs. Pay someone. I was like, I got $300. You got $300. What are we talking about? What are we talking about here? It's $300? Wow, I got that. You got that? Okay, so what is the conversation we're having? As Tupac's like, anybody can get touched. It's like, or you're going to get pushed around, right? So like, are you going to put yourself under someone else? Or are you going to be like, well, this is my line and that's your line, and we can respect each other. I don't got to cross your line. You don't got to cross my line. This dude over and over again. Oh, I just want to fight you. I'm going to have to fight you. I was like, dude, I don't want to fight you. But like, I'm not going to walk away. I can't walk away from this conversation now because you're talking to me. Some people, that would be their line. And that's what I'm trying to learn in life. For some people, that's enough disrespect. That guy who tells me I should punch you right now. Or no, he didn't say I should. I could punch you right now in the face. It's like, is that where my line should be? Should that be my line? Like, dude, that's enough disrespect for me to take that as a threat. But I've always had a lot more tolerance for bullshit. And I think that's kept me out of trouble, and that's also made me some really fucking crazy friends. But because I'm willing to, like, walk a little bit deeper, I think, than most into uncomfortable situations. There is this guy in the army who was fucking giving me shit. No, he wasn't giving me shit. He really didn't like me, and sometimes I don't notice how much people are not liking me until it's too late. And in class, we were shooting rubber bands at each other for some reason. That's one of the reasons I got bad grades, because we were all a bunch of... No, it wasn't. I was just irresponsible. Everyone else got good grades and fucking made it out of that program, so... But we were a rowdy class, and so behind the teacher's back, for some reason, everyone had rubber bands, and we'd start shooting them at each other. It's one of those things that once they start are like paper. Once someone throws a paper ball, then that's what we're doing for that week, is it's like paper ball wars. Every time the teacher turns her back. They were small classes, 8 to 10 people. So fucking I hit this kid, or I got him or something. I guess he didn't respect me because I wasn't getting good grades, and I wasn't taking it seriously. And everyone else, like, this is the military. It's a military language school, so it's not just class, but like, I was also like a bad soldier, I guess. So like in his mind, and this is where you start to realize dominant narratives. Like, I started to realize that he actually didn't respect me as a human being, and that's a dangerous place to be. I had friends, but like the military, my command would tell people, don't hang around McNerney. He's bad for your career. So my friend from Santa Cruz told me, he was like, yo, they told me not to hang out with you. They're trying to isolate you, dude. You're getting on a lot of people's bad side. I'm like, whatever, dude. I knew I was probably going to get chaptered out. I wasn't going to make it through my 5 years. But this guy was starting to work out, and like, I've put some time in, and I've gotten a certain level of strength, but he was putting the real time in. He was taking a lot of shit, and he was actually, like, over a year, he was getting big. He was, I think he had a Korean girlfriend, or he had a family who was tutoring him, so he was really fucking he bought a car. Not a Dodge Charger, but might as well have been, maybe a Ford Mustang. So he was buying into the Army lifestyle and his fucking career and his training, pumping up his body. He'd become a super soldier. So I was fucking off, and like fucking, so like I hit him with a rubber band or something, and he just looked at me and he was like, I'll fucking knock your teeth out or something. He's like, yeah, I keep smiling. I'm gonna knock their fucking teeth out. I was just like, yo, dude, we're all playing. Like, I was like, man, this guy's fucking. I didn't realize I was on his bad side, bad side. And I knew he was a good guy, because that's the thing. That's like what I'm trying to explain with this code and stuff, this way of living life. Like, why I brought up Marisa Tomei is like real, recognize real. Like, I could recognize the dancer girl that I was dating with, like, fucking, that was a real good girl from like our first conversation on the top of the Equinox pool in the village. First of all, we're both balling out, like we're both in a nice place on 4th of July, kind of like just peacocking with everyone else. Fucking, there's only so many rooftop pools in Manhattan, and we're at one of the coolest. Not one of the. No, there's some cool ones, but it's decent for the village. It's a nice little scene, especially if you're local. You meet a lot of other people who live in the area, and the West Village is one of the best places to live in the world. It's like a cool little spot in Montmartre in Paris, as my neighbor would tell me. And so yeah, so we both like quality, and then we talk, and then me and the dancer girl, she's like, I don't know, I just recognized right away, this is a real one. And then she only verified that for me. Why we're not together now is just life. But so I knew this guy was a real one, because he's putting time and effort into his body, and I see the improvements. He's financially responsible enough to get the car payment. So shit that I wouldn't do. Just because I'm irresponsible doesn't mean that I don't respect responsibility. I respect objective truth. And that's what I... Oh, he wasn't the one who fucking tried to fight me. Someone else did. But with that guy who hit me with I'll fucking knock your teeth in, I was like, fuck, I need to make my peace with this dude. Because that's not one I want hanging out there. Some people I'm like, whatever, you want to be my enemy, that's cool. That'll like make us both a little bit on edge. Like, some people I think are a dick, that's great. Now we both got a little vendetta, and this will be cool. And fucking, we can be each other's antagonists. I've never been afraid of that. I antagonize my whole chain of command. But with that dude, he was a cool dude, and I liked how he was like, had a Korean family he was talking. I just saw a lot of good in him. And for him not to see the good in me, so I caught him in the hallway. He was right down. That's why I thought of him, because there was this other dude who fucking tried to fight me in the hallway right around that same time. The barracks, we're all living in the barracks. And fucking, I saw him, and he was going into his room, and I was like, yo, I want to talk to you. He was like, no, dude, I don't want to talk to you. And so I already knew that, like, he wasn't the fighting type, and which is why a lot of people work out. It's because they don't want to. And with my wrestling skills, I never really got worried about stuff. I've had people throw punches at me before. But, so I was like, yo, I want to talk to you. And he was like, no. And I was like, no, dude, like, I'm not trying to, like, start shit. And he tried to close the door on me. I put my foot in the door. He's like, now he's going to get mad at me. And I'm like, no, but I slid into his room, and I closed it behind me. I was like, yo, dude, I just hit him with, like, some truth, but, like, not some, like, I'm sorry if I offended you truth. Just like, look, I see this, and this in your life. Like, I like the fact that you fucking got a car, and a lot of these dudes, including myself, spend our paycheck going and get it. And you're fucking, like, studying with, like, native Korean speakers outside of class. I see how much effort you're putting into your body and your career and everything else. And, like, I'm a fuck up. I'll acknowledge that. But, like, I like you as a human being. And, like, I think we should be friends. And, like, so, like, whatever I did in the past that, like, offended you because I'm fucking around, you know, I'm not taking this military shit seriously. But, like, I recognize you. Like, you're a good dude. And so I'm sorry if I've come at you wrong. And he was like, since then, we actually would say hi. We wouldn't hang out because we're different types of people, and he'd get in trouble for hanging out with me. But after that, we didn't have any issue. I would send some positive encouragement his way, and I just recognized what type of person he was. He needed more of that, and yeah, it was projection and shit like that. And fucking, I was a danger to his grind. And once I made it clear that I like his values, I just don't, for whatever my personal thing is, I'm fucking around while I'm in the army, but I don't. Like, my sergeant had to tell me that when I was getting chaptered out. He was like, you're a good soldier. Like, you fucked up in school, and you don't have a place in the army, but I can't, your room's been clean, and you've done well on the physical fitness test, until I failed the last one on purpose, just to fuck with him. In my mind, I was like, you know what? If I failed it, I don't know. Anyways, I was like, I don't mind waking up at 5 a.m. to do extra PT with the fatties. Oh, that's what it was. I was trying to quit cigarettes, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to fail the test also, just to give them a failing score on their review. But no, my sergeant gave me a little attaboy, and he hated my guts. But he was like, you know what, your room's been clean. And I was on the Army run team, on our company run team and shit. So I knew I wasn't lazy, and I knew my character was good. But those are the types of things you think of when, like Howard Zinn, when you start questioning the dominant narrative and you start living outside of the fold and being a lone wolf, as we call it in the Army, a blue falcon, a lot of people look at you and be like, you're a fucking bullshit person. And that's what that kid said. You're a bullshit person. And to the point now, like, oh shit, violence. And that's what I try to tell that guy in Puerto Rico. It's like, no, dude, like, I might do funny shit and I might be hard to understand. From the outside, I might look like a bullshit person because I'm wild, crazy, and I do stupid shit all the time. But there's a certain way I live my life. And I think it's a real way. And if that's what I told the dude in Puerto Rico, I was like, if you're a good man, I'm a good man. We shouldn't have any issues, man. I'm not a hothead. I'm not trying to fucking. There's a lot of people who go down there with a lot of disrespect, and you're in other people's homes, and there's years and years of oppression. And you got to respect that. I lived with an old lady who was a part of the movement to fucking a part of the movement. I lived with an old lady, and she treated me with a lot more love than my own grandma gave me, who's now dying this week. My dad's going up there next week to visit her. Not even to speak ill of her, but not to speak good of her either. It is what it is. She's not really someone in my life. I'll know of her, and I've known a little bit about her, but she's the adult, and I was the child. If she wanted a relationship, she would have made one. It would have been cool if I had more time so I could try to make one on the back end, but it's not really a priority right now. I got other shit going on. I was thinking about it later on this year, next year, but it doesn't look like we're going to have that time. I talked to her in April. She talked to me about how Grandpa Bob fought in Korea, and I just looked at her. I was like, you know those wars are bullshit though, right? And she just looked at me. She didn't say shit. She was like showing me his war shit. And she was like, oh, she said something about he had his opinion or something. I was like, yeah, those wars are bullshit. She just looked at me because she's not, her generation, definitely, you don't question the narrative. Her generation, they stopped being Jewish. Her last name is Moryusef, the people of Joseph. That was her maiden name, claiming she's fucking not Jewish. It took like cousins looking into that shit. They just gave it up. Hitler was the Time of the Year, the Times Man of the Year, or Life Man of the Year, whatever the fuck it was, 1938. You think her family's gonna come over and they're living in Orange County, where like they're fucking, they're living in Newport Beach. Like, Jewish, we're not Jewish, we're white. Everyone, and even if, first of all, it's to survive, but second of all, it's because the oppressed people want to be white. The oppressed people, my little Mexican cousins who marry these little white girls, they're beautiful women, and they have beautiful families. Mixed race babies are fucking amazing. I'm a mixed race baby. But, the family jokes, not joking, mejorando la raza, improving the race. You get yourself a white one, we make the race a little bit whiter. All of my uncles and aunties in Mexico, when I was down there, showing me pictures of the family, and look at how white your grandma was, and look at how white blah blah blah. Or they say, you're so dark, but it's okay. I was like, I love being dark. Right now, I haven't fucking got much color. I get as dark as I can get. I think it's beautiful to have a fucking tan. I mean, I guess it's also beautiful to be pasty a little bit. There's different types of beauty, but I love my body in all of its true expressions and forms. That's all you can do. There's this girl when I was in 5th, 6th grade running around that apartment complex. She was like, she stopped with all her little ghetto friends, and I'm like in the fucking playground by myself. I didn't have my crew or my friends around with me. She would always pick on me, tall black girl. Always the fucking tall black girls picking on me. No, not just her, another one. She stopped with her friends, and she had a mouth on her. She was like, you are such an ugly child. You are just ugly. And she just looked at me, and I just looked at her. I was just like, this bitch right here. Because I knew that, like, that much attention, she liked me. Like, well, no, I didn't know she liked me then. It took me until, like, 6th grade, 7th grade to figure out that these girls actually were picking on me, because there's this girl who would hit me on the arm. And I'm like, yo, why you always hit me on the arm? She just always fucking pick on me. Literally hit me on the arm. And then I had the girl I lost my virginity to was her friend. And in 7th grade. And I asked her, we just talked this year about it. She was like, I always wanted to be like that girl because she was so badass. She was a bad girl. she told her in 7th grade, she was like, yeah, he was cuter in 6th grade. So in 7th and 8th grade, we had our little crush thing. And then like when I turned 19, I hooked back up with her. But piecing all these things together is, wow, that girl giving me attention, picking on me because she had a crush on me or thought I was cute. And then that girl when I was like in 5th, 6th grade, looking at me with all her friends, you such an ugly little kid. Just fucking how kids act, just fucking with me. Didn't know what to do with this little Mexican boy with a fucking mustache in the 5th grade. And I just knew by then, get picked on enough. I fucking had this hair since I was in 3rd grade. So fucking I've been teased about being a hairy little monkey all my life. So I was just like, just looked at her like, what's her angle? I didn't realize it was like liking you angle. I was just like, I knew it wasn't what she was saying. I just thought it was like, I mean, you just develop your fucking thick skin. But still, it takes those first couple times being in front of another person, a lover, and taking all your clothes off and being accepted. Get naked for the first time in front of a partner and not having them go, oh my God. It's like, oh my God, I'm still, this is acceptable. Wow, no, this is, I remember being in the army, standing naked in front of the mirror, being like, before I had sex for the first time, being like, I have a normal body, right? I'm a good looking guy, right? It takes that validation. I mean, now I fucking, this Tinder girl this weekend when we went to the hot springs, they're like, oh yeah, there's some naked people in there. I was like, oh dude, I was born naked. I just got naked and walked up past like fucking 5 people and like, I was naked for half the night. Fucking, I don't know if the Tinder girl was pretty open about her. She had lived in Mexico and done some jungle shit. But I have long ago lost any inhibition. Um, yeah, I mean, in fucking high school, when you have to drop your drawers to make weight in front of a locker room full of fucking not only teammates but the opposing team, I wasn't the best at my nutrition. Have to lose 5 pounds before the match starts or whatever, before weigh-ins. We got like 2 hours to lose 5 pounds of water weight. You got to drop those underwear because what do you think they're doing? They're soaking up all your sweat. So you're sweating through your fucking sweats. You're fucking running, doing sit-ups, sweating, trying to sweat out. I don't think you could do 5 pounds. I think I did 3 pounds. 5 pounds would be a bit much. I've done like 3 pounds within a couple hours. And then when you get on that scale and you need they hold the scale up and it has to break off the fucking scale. This is the type of, the ones we use, the scales where you hold the metal up and then it has to actually break off the metal. So you see it wanting to, but it won't. So the fucking sweat-soaked underwear is a good 2 ounces. Drop it, cup your nuts. Dude, they ain't hold towels around us or anything like that. Just fuck this. The bigger deal you make it, the bigger deal it is. I knew that since I was a kid. When that girl was like, you so ugly, I just looked at her like, what? What is this fucking Goonie bird trying to tell me? Tall ass woman. You know, those are the ones that fucking get made fun of the most. Tall, bony ass bird girls. Nah, she was pretty. She was sweet. She just, I didn't fucking hang around her friends. They were all a bunch of fucking talkers. Always talking. Yeah, dropping my underwear and wrestling, cupping my nuts, stepping on that scale, making weight, and then fucking just whatever. If you pay attention to yourself, everyone's gonna pay attention. If you don't care, it's like what? Your whole life is to pay attention to me? You got your own shit to worry about. I got my own shit to worry about. That's how this thing works. The more attention you give me, the less attention you're paying attention to your shit. And then now your shit's gonna get fucked up. You know what? Homeboy who's like, Shaz, I want to do mushrooms with you. Addie's boyfriend right now. Shaz, let's do mushrooms. Him and I had an energy thing where like I can tell when he was paying too much attention to me. When he stayed in my apartment for a month, and he'd be walking through, and then he'd bump into something. He'd stumble, or we'd knock something down. Once I was talking to him, and I knocked a candle over, and wax went everywhere. That's an energy thing. Those things are real. The girl walking across the street and all of a sudden there's a car accident behind her because the dudes are looking at her breaking their neck and they have a car accident. That shit happens in real life. Like, it feels like you're pushing your energy out and causing someone to stumble, but they're just paying too much attention to you than they are where they're walking. So all that little shit, all these ways to live, all these observations, all this construction of an objective reality. Howard Zinn, what type of man was he that he can actually take a step back and be like, while he's bombing people from the air, be like, is this what I should be doing? Is this right? And he didn't even do that alone. He needed that guy to tell him, like, nah, this is just a bullshit war. And then that guy dies. And now it's up to Howard Zinn to spread the message. And he even says when he got out, he went into history and he started realizing people's history of the United States is because he went in to education and into the science of history and realized that there were a lot of stories not said. And why did I put Regina Spektor on there? Because Regina Spektor came into my life from good people, and I fucking met her cousin. And her cousin gave me that book, not gave me the book, but told me, you know what, the way you're talking, you should read this I and Thou book about objectification and spirituality, spiritual ethics. So I know they're good people. She grew up with Regina, she said, in the Bronx, and the family was really close. I'm really close with my cousins. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of like the black sheep, right? Because I haven't been socialized properly. I made the money. Everyone's like, oh, finally Shaz is doing the right thing. And now I gave up the whole lifestyle. They're like, I thought you were being normal for once. 5 or 6 years and you couldn't hack it? My mom would tell me every now and then, you couldn't hack it? You couldn't just fucking be normal and keep your business? No, Mom. We're going after something bigger. We're trying to reclaim our sanity. You want me to stay a bullshit person or become a bullshit person? Make all the money in the world and lose your humanity? What does that make me, Eric Schmidt? $11 billion? Yeah, he has to go over there and fucking try to slander Julian Assange, who puts his life on the line to live in a fucking box for nothing more than intellectual honesty. And people say, oh, it's egomania. He just wants to be a hero and a martyr. Let the man have his herodom and his martyrdom. He's given up his life. He's given up his freedom. Would you live in a fucking embassy? Inability to fucking shower or have any privacy, and the threat of assassination hanging over your head as the best option? The worst option is rotting in jail under some secret fucking what is the charge against him? The charge is treason against the American empire. It's a charge that could be trumped up against me. It could be anyone, right? It takes a lot of courage to stick your neck out in this world, and he stuck his neck out as far as you can stick it. He directly challenged the lies of the American empire. It takes a little bit of an egoist to do that, doesn't it? How the fuck can you say anything negative about that man? I don't understand. Sometimes you say I don't understand because it's just a rhetorical device, but no, there's enough information out there that just put it in context. I truly would love to have a discussion with anyone who is bitter on the dude. Because out of that, you start picking apart the worldview. That might be the only reason that I do shit like this, is because I kind of like being right. And also I want the rewards of a life well lived. I want the women and the money and the happiness and the peace of mind. Wake me in my own bed after full rest to make love before eating a large breakfast of meats and fats, smoking deep in contemplation within gardens within my second cup of coffee. I want that life. I want my own bed. I want my woman. I want my fucking breakfast of meats and facts. I want my joint, and I want my coffee. And bullshit and contradictions interfere with all that. Bullshit brings me a bullshit woman. Bullshit makes it so I wake up in that nice bed and I fucking feel guilty about it. I was in that apartment in the village with my rooftop and my dancer and my friends and my fucking this and that, and I was just like, I'm contributing to the greater suck in the world. I'm being an asshole. A little bit. But I judge my character a lot. I believe in this female energy which seeks out virtue or seeks out values. And I try to live as a virtuous man, and so I find really righteous women that are attracted to me and I'm attracted to them. But there's this one I went after, and she was 21, 22, a little Japanese girl. And I mean, that's your thing, they're really amazing. She was an amazing physical specimen. When you fuck young girls, then you realize why it's good to fuck women, because you're fucking someone if you're having sex with someone who's not in tune with their body, then what the fuck are we doing? Like, it's cool, but like it feels a little bit like masturbation. It's like you're holding them and pushing against them to get off, but do you have a partner here? Or like, are they just trying to be cool? Are they like that sincerity of like cooperation towards mutual orgasm is a really great experience when we're both joined together, and then we're both playing and we're both discovering. That's, I guess, the reason not to keep going after young girls, because, but it's fun. I had a poem recently I wrote, not a poem like a haiku or something like about the flesh of the pear is tight, but damn if this plum ain't juicy. She got a young girl who's tight-bodied and fucking athletic, but like that older, soft skin is still juicy. There's still some nice juiciness to it. It only gets juicier. I don't know. But she was really fucked up in the head. And before me, she had a guy that she probably went back to after me who would kick her in the stomach and piss on her. And she liked that. She liked the being dominated because it's safer. It's easier to get your role. That's applicable to, that's funny, we're not even talking about the audio, but the audio speaks for itself. We're talking more about, I guess, I don't know, this is Shaz's fucking loneliness coming out. She told me, she's like, it's easier to know what to do, even if what you're doing is being subjugated. And also it's cool. Young, hip, cool girl living in the village. Fucking being wild. These are her wild years. Her times to explore and put on these. Even me, the older guy. Ooh, I'm that older guy she's with now. This is another story for the fucking basket. I had this book of sexual conquest I was trying to fill out. I hadn't even started. I want to do that sometime. Not conquest, but like document who I've been with, what I've learned. Just like what I'm doing here. Try not to repeat negative patterns. Correct towards the truth if I ever want to try to actually get a lifelong partner. And is that the neighbor? Who is that bugging on the back of the door? She she saw the book. It's called Fuckery. It's a notebook where you can record the physical attributes of your lovers and how it was and all your little notes. You can even put a picture. It's really fucking, it's either interesting or fucked up depending on how open you are about sex. She's like, you gonna put me in your book? And I thought that was weird. That's one of these things where like being idealistic and a little bit romantic, no matter how many people you're with, people still surprise you with their cynicism. Not cynicism. I always give people more. I didn't realize there was that much like I didn't realize the BDSM side of her until afterwards, and she started telling me stuff. And then I didn't realize so she was like I thought in my mind, you want to be in that book? Like that's one of the reasons why this is happening, because you saw this older dude with like recording his conquest, and I guess you wanted to be one of them. I was like, that's weird. I don't want to be with people just for that. I mean, I don't know. I guess that'd be cool. But that's what Russell Brand at one of his stand-up shows. He's like, I got the magic stick. Magic wand will make you famous. Who wants to be famous? It's like, yeah, I guess that's cool to like just be with people who just want to be with celebrity. I've been around that in LA, having dinner with girls, and they brag about who sucked Matt Damon's dick. No, it was Ben Affleck. Who sucked Ben Affleck's dick at the bathroom of the Sky Bar. Fucking star fuckers is what you call them, right? That's what makes celebrity so enticing for some. But I like that sincere connection, and that's one of the reasons why me and that girl stopped, is it didn't feel sincere. It felt like I was caught up in this lifestyle. The apartment, or the fact that like I seemed to have some swag at the time, and some other stuff, and then like, but she wasn't into actually exploring her body with me, and maybe I could have opened up her vulnerability, but I could sort of tell when girls start to think I'm being cheesy, and I'm like, I'm not going to change for this girl. That's what it is I've never wanted to change who I am. Yeah, for girls, for the government, that's what, trying to retain this unique individuality and my sensitivity through all of life and all of life's temptations. That's why I ranted in an earlier video about this dude who fucking went over to Iraq to train the Iraqi militia as a private contractor. That guy's not chasing pussy. He's chasing heroism, masculinity. It's the same bullshit, though. A girl will lead you astray just the same as a fucking medal. Isn't that what Napoleon said? The things that men will do for a little colored piece of ribbon? There's all these little temptations in life. And it's hard to try to build your character around objective truth and the way of life, this path that seems to be universal, all cultures. It's the way that I make friends through all cultures, is by trying to lead that path, honorable path. That is what the lies of empire endanger. The ability for us to lead honorable lives. I would love to end it there. What? You have one life. Why not make it honorable? And how can it be honorable when you're living the lives of others? And they come from the government, and they come from our culture though too. These girls, it's not their fault. This girl who fucking, she doesn't buy into the dominant culture, so now she's in a counterculture like BDSM or something else, or she's treating trauma or whatever. But I told her straight up, I was like, you think you're cool, you think you're smart, it's not smart to let some dude kick you in the stomach and piss on you. She's like, I like it. It's like, it's hard for me to respect you when you do shit like that. Maybe I should have fucking kicked her in the stomach and pissed on her so I could continue fucking her. She was very beautiful. She was one of the most beautiful girls I've ever had sex with. But that's like, beauty fades, everything fades. You can't just be with someone, because what is that? For every pretty girl out there is someone who's tired of fucking them. And then she tells me, oh, I want to get a boob job. It's like, you're so fucking perfect. You really want to change this? You don't even realize your value. And that's why I said that poem about a woman born when Caesar died, when clowns would dare to crucify their king. A woman born, dare be strong for our women. That's where I find a lot of the victimization of society. Howard Zinn said, when I stood up against the Iraq war with my buddy Mike, and we went to the corner, and Mike says, I'm doing this for my kids so I could tell them that I protested this war at its inception. Because me and Mike weren't stupid, even though Mike didn't go to the smart classes. He went to continuing education. Mike has a story for me. Emailing me, he had moved to Texas by then, to the fucking continuing education school or whatever, the bad kid high school. And he says he's being a tough ass, still not bullying people then, but still trying to fucking like run the block. And some Mexican out there is fucking like starting shit with him, so he's trying to punk him, and he's not, because he's new, he's not backing down. And so this dude's like wants to fight him. And so fucking everyone circles around them. It's at lunch or something like that. Mike goes up to the dude and he shoves the dude, and then he backs up because he's like, you know, these bitches always have a knife. And he says, sure enough, this guy pulls out a knife. And then fucking it gets broken up by teachers or some shit. But like stuff like that is like, was Mike gonna die then? Was he gonna get stuck? He didn't plan that far ahead. He was just like, I know this, character-wise, this is a shady fucking dude. But I'm not gonna back down. I'm new here. And if I do that now, then I'm fucked. So it's a school of bullies. Mike's our bully, our local bully. Now he's going to a school of bullies. So he fucking pushes the dude, gets back, and waits for it. And sure enough, the dude acts stupid and probably got fucking a lot of trouble for pulling that out. But that's also how you get caught. If the guy had fucking been quicker, smarter, or meaner, what is the path? What is the path to stay safe? And what is the path to keep your honor, live with your dignity, but not take on foolish risks? Invite beautiful, good women into your life. That's what that Japanese girl had, such a good spirit. We vibed on such an intellectual level. She was really, really smart. I can't fuck with someone if they're not smart. But she just was cynical as fuck. And like, that's just such a turnoff for me. This Tinder girl recently, she's like, you remind me of myself when I used to analyze everything, but now I just don't even pay attention to the news. And I was like, that's good. It's good for your mental health. Pay attention. If it's making you negative, tune it out. But in my mind, it's like, she worked in D.C. before. She lived in D.C. She worked for, I don't know who she worked for, but she had done the political shit. She had a master's in something political. And now she was working in research in L.A. for some company or someone. I forget. But she's cynical. And cynical people don't seem to fuck with the Shaz because they mistake kindness for weakness, I think. Some dude told me that once. He was like, be careful, people will mistake your kindness for weakness. He was a tweaker. He was a methamphetamine addict. But that doesn't mean that you don't have insight. It just means that you don't have control over yourself. Hunter S. Thompson was a methamphetamine addict, but he had some insight. He just probably had more blind spots than insight, but he had some insight. Could have been a better friend, I think, to some people in his life. Could have been a better husband, probably. Better father. But who am I to say? I'm not a husband and I'm not a father. I'm a friend. I'm a very good friend, I think. I don't fail my friends. Well, I'm learning what I can do and what I can't do for them, but yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning about myself this year. And that is, I guess, what did I say? I'm more of a political person than an artist. I'm going to have to evolve that. I'm more of a human being than a political person. That's something I realized at the end of this year. I said that I am more than the context into which I was born. The essence of me and the expression of myself. And that's what gives me peace. I was a little down yesterday after the sound bombing and just remembering bullshit in history and good people who passed. And you have to remember that you're more than the context into which you were born. Despite the art is an expression of myself, which heals me and also is a creative expression. But that'll pass, whether that's accepted or not by anyone. And the politics is an expression of my morality, doing what I feel I should do. I have a voice and a perspective which I've cultivated over these years. I should get it out there. I think it could be helpful for other people. But then there's a part of me that's an expression of Shaz. Not the David, not the Shaz, the nameless expression. Just like the human being who acts without thinking, who's just, if I was born in another time, I might have been a pirate, I might have been a fucking prince, I might have been a pauper, probably would have been a pirate. I think I would have been a pirate many other times. A shaman. I would have been blind as fuck. What can you do without eyesight in a primitive society? Stay around the fucking camp? And make up stories? Yeah, I would have been useless as a hunter. I don't know. I think my intuitive nature, running with the pack, but then I got this feeling of being a lookout, standing on cliffs. When I shroom out, sometimes I feel like I'm just like looking out into the distance for the tribe. But I think that's in the distance of the future and the patterns. I don't think that's a literal distance. But yeah, there's a part of you that is timeless, I would like to think, romantically in history, that is beyond this temporal state, with soul, or whatever you call it. And that's how you let these frustrations of politics go. And that's how you see that longer view and whatever oppression you were born into, or in my case, oppression that I was born a part of. I'm born a part of the oppressive class known as America, waging these fucking indefensible wars around the world. And then we're also victims. We're victims as Americans because so much violence and injustice is done in our name. But beyond all of that, there's also this like spirit, which I respect within me, which is fruiting in this body. This body is the fruiting body of the soul or the spirit or whatever you want to call it, which when I was born animated this shit. And when I die, will go back, return back to the fabric of life itself. And that really, I like that image. When you die, your threads just return back into the fabric. That's all. It's a second birth, like Alan Watts said the other day. It's like, the first thing you got to remember, the first thing you got to realize is to have no fear. Yeah, that's coming up. The next couple of videos, I think we're done for today. We did like 4 hours. The Lakers won yesterday. We'll see what the Lakers win today. Playing the Mavericks. But the first thing you got to realize in life. Here, we're going to play that one real quick, even though we're going to play it later, but it's on my mind. That's why I have these. And then when I think about them, the wisdom that I live by, a lot of it's captured in this music. And it's like a tuning fork. It chimes me up like church does or other stuff, reading the fucking. And there's more wisdom to be had out there.
The secret of life is to have no fear. We all have to understand that.